Are you ready to push your English to a truly advanced C1, C2 level? Welcome to Emily US English, and I'm Emily, your guide in this powerful 1-hour English challenge. In today's session, you won't just listen, you'll practice like a real speaker, follow natural conversations, enhance your fluency, and practice the exact language that native speakers use on a daily basis. Stay focused, curious, and don't miss a second. This challenge is designed to rewire your brain to achieve advanced English. This is 1 hour of C1 English listening practice with really natural, simple conversations from the beginning, deeper and more advanced as we move forward. And throughout this video, let's start our journey. A quiet morning practice listening to C1 in real life. The morning light streamed through the curtains, gentle and slow. I opened my eyes and stretched out my arms, letting the silence of the room settle around me. The clock glows faintly. At 7 a.m., I slowly sat up, noticing the cool air on my skin. For a moment, I wasn't in a hurry. I simply breathe. Then I whisper to myself, let's make today meaningful. Pause shading. Repeat. Let's make today meaningful. I got up and walked towards the bathroom, feeling the familiar rhythm of a new day. When I turn on the faucet, the cold water washes away the last of my sleep. My reflection in the mirror looks calm, a little tired, but ready. I brushed my teeth slowly, not in a hurry, not thinking about the countless tasks that awaited me, just focusing on this moment. This simple, peaceful moment. When I walked into the kitchen, the smell of fresh morning air filled the space. I put a small pot on the stove and boiled the water for the tea. The soft bubble begins, stable and comfortable. In the meantime, I cut an apple, toasted a piece of bread, and spread a thin layer of butter on top. Nothing fancy, just enough to start the day. As I ate, I stared out the window, watching a car pass by. Slow and quiet, the world is waking up and so am I. I finished breakfast, wiped the counter, and stood for a while with a warm cup in both hands. Then I said, I'm ready for today. Pause shading. Repeat. I'm ready for today. Walk to the subway. Native C1 conversations. At 7:45 a.m., I went out and walked towards the subway station. The cool, almost fresh air rubbed lightly against my face. A delivery boy walked past me, humming to himself. A woman walks her dog, smiling politely as she passes by. The city's not noisy, but there is only the sound of a soft wake-up call. On the street corner, a small coffee shop has opened. The owner nodded as soon as he saw me. Good morning. Your usual. Yes, I said with a smile. A cup of coffee, no sugar. He prepared it quickly, handing it to me with a familiar warning. Be careful, it's hot. Just like every morning, I take a sip. Strong, warm, moderate. As I walked, the two men in front of me were discussing the traffic situation. Yesterday, one person said, I was stranded for almost an hour. The other laughed. Welcome to city life. I smiled quietly. These small conversations are the pulse of the morning. At the subway entrance, I touched my card and walked inside. Cool underground air replaces the warmth of the streets. A train arrived with a light breeze. Inside, people are scattered around, some reading, some half sleeping, some practicing their own morning routines. I found a seat near the door opposite me. A young man, perhaps in his 20s, is whispering something to himself. At first, I couldn't hear him, but then I realized he was following English phrases from a podcast. His voice is gentle but steady. I want to improve. I want to say it with confidence. I can do this. I listened for a moment and smiled. I know that feeling. I was there once. I'm still in a way. He noticed I was looking and gave an embarrassed smile. Sorry, he said. I'm practicing. No need to apologize, I replied. Keep going. You're doing great. He nodded, encouraging. When the train stops at the next station, he gets up. Before leaving, he said, Thank you. Sometimes I feel silly talking to myself. I shook my head. No, you seem determined. That's important. He smiled and stepped off the train. When the door closed, I whispered a shadow. For you and anyone else who needs it, I'm improving every day. Shadowing paused again. I'm improving every day. Arriving at work, a conversation elevates nature. At 8:30 a.m., I arrived at the office. A modern building with tall glass windows reflecting the rising sun. Inside, the familiar aroma of fresh coffee blends with the gentle click of the keyboard. I greeted a colleague near the elevator. In the morning, Mia. She looked up and smiled tiredly. Hopefully it's easier today. I said I hoped she would answer with a gentle smile. On the 7th floor, I walked into the office. Colleagues are talking near the hallway. Someone laughed out loud. Another sighed dramatically in front of their screens. A normal working day begins. I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. Emails, notifications, reminders, they appear instantly. But before I dive in, I take a steady breath. A simple breath, because sometimes that's all it takes to stay grounded. Break the small ball. Repeat these phrases to me. We'll use them later in the story. I can express myself clearly. I can handle advanced conversations. I understand more than I thought. Shadow them again. I understand more than I thought. The office gets a little noisier as more people arrive. The sound of footsteps echoed on the floor. The seat slides backwards. The coffee maker hisses and releases warm steam. I started reviewing yesterday's tasks, scrolling through project notes and client messages. My mind slowly settled into work mode. Immediately afterwards, my manager walked away holding a tablet. Good morning, she said, stopping near my desk. In the morning? I replied. Do you have 2 minutes? She asked. Her tone is neutral, but the question always makes me a little nervous. Of course, I say. We walked into a quiet meeting room. She gently closed the door, then sat across from me. I reviewed your analysis from last week, she began. My shoulders were a little bit of an old habit. I wait, then she smiled. It's strong, clear logic, organized structure, and your recommendations are realistic. Relief filled me like warm water. Thank you, I say honestly. I have tried to make my article more concise. She nodded. It shows, and I want you to lead part of the discussion with the client tomorrow. My heart beat hard once. I have. She said, You're ready. I paused, letting the words sink in. For years, I avoided talking. I'm worried about sounding uncertain, sounding imperfect, sounding like someone who doesn't belong. But today, something feels different, stronger. Okay, I said with a calm breath. I'll do it. She smiled. That's what I love to hear. We walked out of the meeting room, and I returned to my desk with a quiet sense of confidence growing within me. Dark moments, tell me this. I can handle this. Shadowing paused again. I can handle this. Lunchtime, a conversation that enhances nature. By noon, the rhythm of the office softened. People stretched out on their chairs, rubbed their eyes, and packed up their belongings for lunch. I walked with 2 colleagues to a small cafe down the street. The air outside now feels warmer, carrying the smell of roasted coffee beans from nearby shops. Inside the cafe, soft music played, people talked quietly, laptops opened, spoons hit porcelain cups. We found a table near the window. Why is food selection always the hardest part of my day? Oh, that's right. My happiness depends on this sandwich. We all laughed, the kind of laughter that breaks the tension and fills the air soothingly. A server that reaches our desk. Hello, what can I get for you today? Her voice is friendly, clear, and a bit fast. Listening practice is perfect for C1 learners. I pre-ordered. I'm going to eat grilled chicken salad, please, and a glass of iced green tea. The waiter smiled patiently the whole time. Then one day, I realized that no one cared if your accent was perfect or not. They just want your order. Confidence is more important than pronunciation. I thought for a second. I used to practice before I spoke. I admit even simple things. Ordering food, asking for directions, gossiping at work. I will prepare the lines in my head as a script. I took a slow breath. Real conversations, I say. Not textbook dialogue, not coercive practice, just talking to people, listening to how they really speak, paying attention to the rhythm, the tone, pausing. The waiter brought our food, placing each plate carefully. The smell is warm, pleasant, almost soothing. Before eating, I close my eyes and say, "Thank you for the food." A simple moment of gratitude. Break the ball. Repeat after me. I learn from real-life conversations. Shadowing paused again. I learn from real-life conversations. In the afternoon, work deeper. Listen more. Advanced. After lunch, I went back to the office and sat in my chair. The afternoon feels quieter, slower, but heavier in an efficient way. I open the presentation draft on my desktop. Charts, numbers, notes, all waiting for the structure. I began to shape the content of each sentence. Then I heard a light knock on my desk. "It's Mia. Have a minute?" "Sure." She handed me a printed document. "Can you review this paragraph?" I wanted it to sound more natural, like something you would say in a meeting. I skimmed through the passage. It's detailed, smart, but a bit stiff. I read it aloud. We have encountered various operational challenges that may have prevented the timely completion of our objectives. Then I rephrase it naturally. We have encountered some issues that can delay our progress. That sounds a lot more obvious. That's all native speakers do. I say they simplify. It's part of learning at this level. She nodded, encouraging. "Thank. This helps a lot." She walked away, leaving me with a slight smile. Helping others always reminds me how far I've come. I went back to my laptop and continued shaping the presentation slides. Time passes quietly, focused and steady. Multiple shadowing breaks the C1 phrase. Repeat after me. I can express complex ideas clearly. Pause shading. I don't need perfect grammar to communicate well. Pause shading. I speak with confidence and clarity. Pause shading. Good. The afternoon sun stretches long shadows on the office floor. People started moving around. Add more water bottles. Stretch your back. Walk to the printer. There's a quiet rhythm to it. A familiar pulse of a working day is in motion. I looked at the clock. 3 p.m. That late afternoon subsided heavily. It feels like the day isn't over, but the energy is slowing down. I got up and went to the break room to refill my water bottle. The machine hums softly. Outside the window, the sky looks bright, almost glowing. As I was filling my bottle, someone walked beside me. It's one of the senior managers, calm, sharp, and observant. "A long day?" he asked. I smiled. "Not too bad. Just be prepared for tomorrow's discussion." He nodded slowly. "Yes," I replied, trying to appear calm, even though my heart was beating a little faster. "You know," he said, The first time I led a meeting with a client, I barely slept the night before. I keep thinking that every sentence has to be perfect. I smiled lightly. It sounds familiar. Then someone told me something simple, something that changed the way I spoke. I raised my eyebrows, curious. What is it? He looked straight at me. People don't remember perfect sentences. They remember clarity, confidence, and honesty. I exhaled slowly, letting those words seep in. Just communicate, don't perform. I nodded. Thank you, I said quietly. That's exactly what I need to hear. Dark moments. Repeat this. I communicate clearly and confidently. Shadowing, pause, and again. I communicate clearly and confidently. We walked out of the break room together. I returned to my desk feeling lighter, more steady. A short call, augmented reality listening. Shortly after I sat down, my phone rang softly on the table. It was my sister. I replied with a smile. Hey, what's wrong? Her voice sounds as bright as ever. Just check. Are you alive? Hardly kidding, I joke. A long day. She laughs. Tell me about it. I'm grating. My brain is melting. We talk for a while about random things. Traffic, weather, her students. Then her tone became softer. You seem calmer lately, she says. More grounded. I stopped. Have. I answered honestly. I guess I'm trying to slow down a bit. Pay more attention to everything. She smiled over the phone. I'm proud of you. Her words were gentle and quiet. Then she said, Oh, and you still speak English every day, every chance I get. Good. Keep going. You're getting better. We said goodbye, and I went back to work. Break the ball. Repeat after me. I'm improving every day. Pause shading. End of the working day. Enhanced daily conversations. By 5:30 p.m., the office began to empty. People packed their luggage, turned off their laptops, and waved quickly. I slowly gathered my belongings, taking a moment to breathe before heading outside. When I got to the elevator, I heard someone calling behind me. Wait, that's Mia. I kept the door open. She walked in and pressed the lobby button. I want to say thank you again for helping earlier, she said. No problem, I replied. You're doing great. She pulled a strand of hair behind her ear. Do you ever get nervous during meetings? She suddenly asked. I've always admitted it, but I've also learned something. If you focus on the message instead of the mistakes, things will get easier. That really makes sense. The elevator squeaks and opens. We stepped out and walked towards the exit of the building. Outside, the air feels cool again. I walk towards the subway entrance, take the train home. A quiet reflection. The platform feels quiet, not too crowded. A street musician plays a soothing melody near the stairs, the notes echoing through the ground. When the train arrived, I walked in and found a seat near the window. The trip home always feels different from the trip to work. Slower, more thoughtful, more reflective. I lean back and let my mind wander. Sometimes progress feels invisible, but today I can feel it. A little more clear, a little more confident, a little calmer. The train moves through tunnels, through dim lights and dim reflections. I whispered softly, You're fine. Dark moments. Repeat after me. I'm fine. Shadowing paused again. I'm fine. One stop before heading home. I got off the train 2 stops early, not because I needed to, but because I loved walking the last part home. The street has small shops, bookstores, flower shops, small bakeries. Warm lights spill out onto the sidewalk. The evening feels peaceful and familiar. As I walked, I stopped at a small grocery store to buy fresh fruit. Inside, soft music sounded. The aisles smell of orange, and the wooden shelves are clean. A young cashier greeted me. "Hello, let me know if you need help." "Thanks," I replied. I took some bananas, 2 apples, and a small bag of almonds. When I got to the counter, the cashier would scan everything quickly. That would be $4.05. I tapped my card. A moment passed. Then she says something unexpected is human. "You look like you've had a long day." I blinked. "Surprised? Is it so obvious?" She smiled, not in a bad way, just kind of calm fatigue. I smiled lightly. That sounds accurate. She handed me the bag. "Yes, have a peaceful evening." "So do you." When I walked outside, I felt lighter. It's weird how small conversations can lift you up. Shadowing breaks C1 phrases to help you become fluent. Repeat these sentences naturally. I'm learning to stay calm under pressure. Shadowing. Pause. I express myself confidently even when I'm not sure. Pause shading. I'm getting better every day. Pause shading. I continued to walk home, my grocery bag gently hitting my feet, the cool evening air passing over me. A long but meaningful day, and this quiet walk is the perfect way to move on to the night. The sky was turning a gentle blue as I walked the last block towards my apartment. Streetlights flash one by one, shining circles of warm light onto the sidewalk. The neighborhood feels quiet, familiar, almost at ease in its predictability. When I arrived at my building, I scanned my key card and walked inside. The lobby is quiet except for the gentle hum of the air conditioner. An elderly security guard, Mr. Harris, sat behind the counter reading the newspaper. He looked up when he heard the sound of the door. "Evening?" he said with a slight nod. "Evening," I replied. He folded the newspaper a little. "One long day?" I smiled. "That seems to be the theme today. People keep asking me that." He chuckled. "People pay attention to energy even if they don't realize it." I stopped to think about it. He's right. We think our fatigue or stress is invisible, but people read more than we say. "Take a break," he added kindly. "I will." "Good night," I said before stepping into the elevator. Inside the elevator, the instrument gently plays a slow piano melody. I leaned against the wall and took a deep breath. Up, up, up. The elevator stopped. I went down the hallway, unlocked the door, and walked inside. At home, real life enhances listening. The moment I walked in, the silence surrounded me like a soft blanket, the gentle hum of the refrigerator, the smell of clean clothes from this early morning, the warm light dimly in the living room. They all felt peaceful. I put my little grocery bag on the kitchen counter, washed the apples, and put everything neat in the fridge. Then I boiled some water to make the tea. While I waited, I relaxed my shoulders, stretched my neck, and exhaled slowly. The kind of exhalation that you don't even realize you've been fast all day. When the water boils, I pour it into a cup and drop it into a tea bag. The steam rises gently. I sat by the window with my cup, watching the cars move quietly down the street below. The city feels different at night, slower, softer, calmer. As I sipped my tea, I whispered to myself, "You made it through today." Dark moments. Repeat after me. Calm down. I got through today. Shadowing paused again. I made it through today. A call from a friend. Deep natural conversation. My phone rang softly. It's a video call request from Ava. I smiled before answering. "Hey," I said as her face appeared on the screen. She looked comfortable, sitting in a cozy room with warm lights behind her. "Hello," she said. "I just want to register. You disappeared after work." I took another sip of tea. I need to go for a walk and some time to think. So what? She asked softly. I shrugged. Everything. Work. Tomorrow's presentation. The usual noise in my head. Ava nodded deliberately. I understand that. Some days feel heavier than others. Yes, I agree, but today wasn't bad. Fill only. She smiled. The whole day is good. They make you feel alive. There is a pause. Easy and natural. Then Ava says, You seem more confident than before, more focused. Really? I asked. Yes, it's like you're becoming more comfortable with your own skin. I smiled lightly. I'm trying. She tilted her head. You know what helps? A nighttime routine, something that foundations you. What do you like for me? She said, I write 3 sentences every night. One thing I've learned, one thing I'm grateful for, and one thing I want to improve. That's really good, I say. You should try it. I can. Ava smiled softly. Anyway, get a good rest and don't think too much about tomorrow. There you have it. I looked at her for a moment, grateful. Think. Good night, Ava. Good night. The screen fades to black. Quiet reflex. Listen to the C1, C2 level. I was still sitting by the window, looking out over the quiet streets. A small part of me still feels anxious about tomorrow, but a larger part feels calm. Growth is slow, but it's true. I whispered something that I usually forgot to say. You're doing better than you think. And I let the words settle down in the room as a gentle truth. Dark moments. Repeat after me. I'm doing better than I thought. Shadowing. Pause. Again. I'm doing better than I thought. Prepare dinner. Simple but meaningful moments. I went into the kitchen, washed my hands, and started preparing a small dinner. Nothing complicated, only noodles, vegetables, a little garlic, and a little olive oil. When the vegetables sizzle lightly in the pan, the room is filled with warm, familiar smells. Cooking always slows me down. It makes me feel human, present, in the moment. While stirring the pan, I thought about something Jonathan had said earlier. Communicative, not performing. Now it hits deeper. A lot of learning English, especially at higher levels, is not about grammar. It's about expression, clarity, authenticity, presence. I turned off the stove, prepared the food, and sat down at the table. The first bite is always the best. Warm, simple, comfortable. I eat slowly, enjoying all the flavors. Think about dinner. Enhanced emotional listening. After a few minutes, I whispered softly, You are allowed to rest. It sounds simple, but sometimes the simple truth is the most unbelievable. I finished dinner, washed the dishes, and wiped down the counter. The apartment feels neat, peaceful, and warm. The darkness is deeper. Sentence C1 to build fluency. Repeat these sentences naturally. I believe in myself more every day. Pause shading. I speak confidently, even when I feel uncertain. Pause shading. My voice is very important. Pause shading. I'm becoming fluent one conversation at a time. Pause shading. Excellent. Take a short walk on the balcony atmosphere at night. I walked up to my small balcony. Fresh air. A few cars pass by. One is far away, somewhere far away. Someone plays soft music. The city feels lively yet light. I leaned against the railing and looked at the glowing windows of other apartments, different lives, different stories, all happening at the same time. It reminds me that everyone carries something. Everyone is learning, growing, struggling in their own silent ways. I whispered, You're not alone. Dark moments. Repeat. I'm not alone. Pauses. Good. The night was deeper and the air became cooler when I stepped back inside. I gently closed the balcony door and looked at the dark sky outside for the last time. The city was now quiet, almost peaceful in a way that only late evening could. I went to the living room, turned on the light, and sat down on the couch. Warm light fills the corner of the room. I felt calm, relaxed, tired, but not exhausted. I took a notebook and a pen. Maybe Ava was right. Perhaps writing 3 sentences a night can help. I opened the notebook to a blank page and wrote, "One thing I learned today, clarity is more important than perfection. One thing I'm grateful for, conversations remind me that I'm growing. One thing I want to improve, talking with confidence under pressure." I looked at the page for a moment, letting the words sink in. Simple, but true. A knock on the door. Conversation enhances nature. Suddenly, I heard a knock on the door. It's soft, but clear. I stood curious and opened the door. Daniel stood there, holding a small box of pastries. He grinned. "Peace offerings," he said. I laughed. What to do? For eating your snacks last week and for dragging you into a meeting you didn't want to attend. I shook my head, smiling. "You don't need to bring anything." He shrugged. "I also wish I needed an excuse to talk." He walked inside and I closed the door behind him. Daniel looked around. "Your place always feels peaceful. Mine looks like a storm lives there." I chuckled. "I only clean when I'm stressed." "Ah," he said, pointing. "So that's your secret?" He handed me a box of pastries. "I have more in case you're hungry." "Thanks," I said. "Tea always." I boiled the water again and prepared. 2 cups. Daniel sat on the couch, leaning back with a tired sigh. "You know," he started slowly, "I'm also worried about tomorrow's client meeting." I sat next to him. "You're usually confident." He was just smiling outside. Inside me was a mess. I took a sip of my tea. "Honestly, the same." Daniel nodded. "I think everyone is pretending. Everyone looks confident until you get close enough to hear the crack." "That's true," I said. He looked at me seriously. "Do you know what helped me?" "Something. Remember that customers are human. They eat breakfast. They complain about traffic. They forgot their passwords. Just like us. We don't perform for robots." I smiled lightly. "It's a good reminder." Daniel smirked. "So tomorrow, let's be human." I nodded. Trade. There was a comfortable silence between us as we sipped our tea. "Break the ball. Repeat slowly after me." "I don't have to be perfect to be confident." Shadowing paused again. "I don't have to be perfect to be confident." A deeper conversation. Advanced listening. After a minute, Daniel said, "You know, you've changed a lot." I glanced at him. "The way you speak is different, calmer, clearer, as if you're really listening to yourself." I blinked at that. Listening to myself. It's not something I've ever tried to do consciously. I asked, "Do you think that's good?" "That's great," he said without hesitation. "It's like you're no longer chasing approval, you're just there." I didn't respond right away. His words were true in a way I didn't expect. He added softly, "Not everyone goes there. Most people speak to impress. You speak to connect." A warmth quietly spread in my chest. I wasn't expecting this honesty tonight. "Thank you," I say. "Means so." Daniel stood up and stretched. "Okay, I should go before I sleep on your couch." I took him to the door. When he came out, he said, "Hey, I'm going to do great tomorrow." I smiled. "You too." He waved his hand and disappeared into the hallway. I gently closed the door. A moment of silence. Listen to the C1, C2 reflex. I went back to the couch and sat down, holding the tea. Daniel's words stuck in my mind. You no longer pursue consent. You're just there. Maybe that's the real fluency. Not perfect grammar, not advanced vocabulary, but presence, confidence, connection. I whispered softly, almost reminding myself. You are allowed to take up space. Dark moments. Repeat after me. I'm allowed to take up space. Shadowing. Pause. Again. I'm allowed to take up space. A quiet night work session. Vocabulary enhances nature. I open my laptop to review tomorrow's presentation one last time. The slides look clean, clear, simple. There are no complex phrases, just real human language. Here's what we found. Here's what it means. Here is our recommendation. I practiced the opening sentence out loud. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to guide you through our findings. Simple, direct, honest. I repeat again, slower, more confidently. Then I added, and if you have any questions, interrupt me. I'm happy to explain anything in more detail. I rehearsed that too, and it felt natural. Break the ball. Repeat after me. I speak clearly and confidently in every situation. Pause shading. I can lead advanced conversations. Pause shading. My English is strong, natural, and fluent. Pause shading. Excellent. End of season 5. I closed my laptop and stretched my hand. The night was quiet. My apartment is warm. My mind feels clearer than before. I whispered one last sentence before I got ready to go to bed. You're exactly where you need to be. The morning light gently filtered through the curtains, warmer and brighter than yesterday. I opened my eyes and lay still for a while, listening to the gentle hum of the outside world. Cars passed by in the distance, a bird in the distance. Someone walked in the hallway outside my apartment. Today is important, not because it's perfect, but because it's real. I sat up, stretched out my arms, and breathed slowly. Steady, I whispered to myself. Just be stable. I got up and went to the bathroom as the warm water ran through my hands. I looked at my reflection. No worries, alertness, no fear, alive. This is the version of me I've always wanted. Not perfect, just present. I poured cold water on my face, feeling my senses sharpen. Then I spoke softly, deliberately. You're all set. Dark moments. Repeat with me. I'm ready. Shadowing. Pause. Again. I'm ready. Breakfast. Calm down before the day. In the kitchen, I make a simple breakfast yogurt, fruit, and a cup of hot tea. The steam rising from the cup feels grounded. As I stir the tea, I rehearse the first line of the presentation in my head. Hello. Thank you for joining us today. I spoke out loud in a soft, natural way. Then I smiled at myself, not forced, just a gentle, confident smile. As I ate, I reminded myself of what Daniel had said last night. Customers are human. It's funny how often we forget that we imagine audiences as walls, judges, critics, but they're just people doing their jobs. People like us. I finished breakfast, washed the dishes, cleaned the counter, and grabbed my bags. Before leaving, I stood still for a moment, letting the silence envelop around me. Then I whispered, appear. That's enough. Shadowing. Repeat. I showed up. I try my best. Shadowing. Pause. Walk to the office. Practice true. C1 listening. The air outside is cool and fresh. The sun hangs low, soft yellow paint on the buildings. People walk briskly, sip coffee, check their phones, adjust their bags. Everyone is in their own world. Everyone has somewhere to stay. As I walked towards the subway, I saw a familiar face, Mr. Patel, who ran the coffee bar. He smiled when he saw me. Morning, sir. The big day. I raised my eyebrows. How do you know? He chuckled. I've been following people for 20 years. I can read faces better than books. I laughed. Well, you're not wrong. Presentation date. He nodded deliberately and handed me a cup. On the house. Extremely strong. For extra courage. I blinked. Touch. You don't have to. I don't have to, he interrupted, but I wanted to. I took the cup, warm in my hand. Thank you. Actually, he waved to me. Well done. As I walked, the coffee warmed not only my hands, but also my chest. Taking the subway enhances inner dialogue. On the train, I found a seat and took a deep breath. A woman next to me is practicing French on her phone. A young man across the aisle is rehearsing a speech. A student is flipping through notes for a test. Everyone is preparing for something. It makes me feel less lonely. I closed my eyes and let the quiet rumble of the train calm me down. I whispered, "You have the ability. Repeat the ball. I have the ability." Shadowing paused again. I have the ability. Go to the office. Natural professional conversation. When I walked into the building, the energy felt different, focused, purposeful. Mia waited near the elevator, clutching a folder of documents. "Here you are," she said, worried. "A little, yeah, I admit you," she laughed lightly. "Many." We entered the elevator. When the door closed, she took a deep breath. "I hope I don't freeze." "You won't," I said calmly. "Simply put, focus on the message, not the performance." She nodded slowly. "Right, communicate, don't perform. You said it yesterday." We arrived on the 7th floor. When we walked out, she looked at me again. "You know, you've become the person that people trust." I blinked, surprised. "Why do you say that?" "Because when you speak, it feels sincere. No ostentation, no coercion, only honesty." I smile at that. Honest, a word I never thought would describe my English. "Thank you," I said softly. Final preparation. Listening and advanced thinking. Inside the meeting room, the tables were arranged, the folders were neatly arranged, the screens were ready, and the glasses of water were evenly placed. I sat down, opened my laptop, and adjusted the slides one last time. Jonathan walked in with Olivia and gave me a brief nod, the kind of silent encouragement that meant more than words. "Ready?" he whispered as he bent down. "Yes," I replied this time. "Don't hesitate." Daniel walked in, relaxing as usual. He tapped me lightly on the shoulder. "Let's do this." I smiled softly. "Let's do this." The customer arrived a few minutes later. Calm, professional, polite. We welcomed them warmly. Then Olivia turned to me and said, "You can start whenever you're ready." I stood. My heart beat steadily, without fear. I looked at the room, at the people, at the moment I was scared, and then I started. "Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I want to guide you through our findings." The words flow naturally, calmly, clearly, confidently. Not because I memorize them, but because I own them. When I speak, I feel present, not performing, communicating. The room listened. No judgment, no pressure, just people sharing ideas. For the first time in years, I felt fluid, imperfect, fluent, comfortable, in control of myself. Shadowing breaks the strong C1, C2 confidence lines. Repeat after me. I speak naturally, clearly, and confidently. Pause shading. My English fluently is easy. Pause shading. I can express complex ideas without fear. Pause shading. I belong in every conversation. Pause shading. Excellent. The presentation ended with a gentle click as I closed my laptop. For a moment, the room was completely silent. No one was in a hurry to speak. No one tampered with their papers. It's the rare kind of silence, the kind of respect, when people actually process what they've just heard. Then the customer across the table, a woman in a gray suit with sharp eyes and a calm voice, leaned forward. "That's very clear," she said briefly, easy to follow. I nodded politely, but inside something warm flickered like the beginning of self-belief. Another customer added, I appreciate how you simplify the data without losing meaning. I replied in a firm voice, "Thank you. Our goal is to make sure the insights are practical and usable." Olivia glanced at me with a subtle smile, a proud smile. Then Jonathan jumps in to lead the next part of the discussion. I sat back for a while, still awake but relieved. Daniel, sitting next to me, leaned over and whispered, "You're crucified," I whispered back. "We nailed it." He hid a smile behind his hand, and for the first time, I felt something that I rarely felt at work. Not survival, not fear, but belonging. A dialogue corridor that enhances nature. When the meeting was over, we walked out into the hallway. The air felt lighter, almost celebrating. Olivia gently closed the door to the meeting room behind us. She turned to me. "That's amazing," she said. "Exactly what we need." I nodded. "I'm glad it's helpful." She paused for a moment. 6 months ago, you barely spoke in meetings." I smiled. "I remember." "And now," she continues, "you're introducing international clients." I shrugged my shoulders slightly, but with pride. "Small steps." "No," she said softly, "just real steps." Jonathan joins us. He patted me on the shoulder. "You've come a long way. Keep going." I thanked them both and walked over to my desk. Back in the office, confidence is growing. When I sat down, my phone vibrated. A message from my sister. "How does it work? Are you proud of yourself?" I typed again. "It went well." "Really good, and yes, I think so." Her answer came immediately. "Good. You deserve that feeling. Remember that." I put my phone down and took a moment to breathe it all in the quiet satisfaction of the progress. Then I whispered to myself, "You did it. Break the ball. Repeat, I did it." Shadowing paused again. I did it. Lunch outside, a moment of peace. At noon, the group decided to go out for lunch to celebrate the end of the presentation. Daniel suggested a nearby restaurant with outdoor seating. The weather was warm. A light breeze blew through the trees. We found a table under a large umbrella. Sunlight filters through the leaves, creating soft patterns on the table. While we waited for our orders, Ethan asked, "So, what does it feel like to be the star of the meeting?" I laughed. Star is a powerful word. Mia grinned. "Okay, then what does it feel like to be not afraid?" I shook my head. I was a little nervous, but I wasn't scared. "There is a difference." Daniel raised his glass of iced tea. Two important differences. We all smiled and flashed our glasses. When the food arrived, simple dishes of rice bowls, grilled chicken, and vegetables, the table was silent for a moment. Not because of fancy food, but because everyone is hungry and peaceful. We ate slowly, enjoying the rest time. Ethan looked at me and said, "You spoke a lot more clearly today." I blinked, surprised. "I did." He nodded. "Well, that's not just what you say. That's how you say it. How did I say that?" He thought for a moment, as if the message was more important than perfection. His words hit deeper than he knew. After lunch, take a contemplative walk. After lunch, the group returned to the office, but I decided to take a longer route, walking around the block alone. The city feels relaxed, quiet conversations in the early afternoon, the quiet conversations on the benches, the warm sunshine in the shop windows, the rattle of dishes from a cafe from afar. I walked slowly, letting my feet choose the path. And I think about how much has changed. Not overnight, not in one big moment, but little by little, little brave things, small honest things, small things of consistency. It's a way to build confidence. That's how fluency develops. Not by force, not by pressure, but by showing up every day. I stopped at the crosswalk, looked up at the sky, and whispered, "You're becoming who you need." Dark moments, repeat after me. I'm becoming the person I need to be. Shadowing, pause, again. I'm becoming the person I need to be. Return to work. Silent, naturally. See a person listening. When I returned, the office was quieter. Some people focus on spreadsheets, others type emails, others on calls. I sat down at my desk, took a sip of water, and checked my inbox. A new message from the customer we presented. "Thank you for today's presentation. Your explanation is very clear and extremely helpful. Looking forward to working together, moving forward." I read the message twice. Not perfect grammar, not advanced vocabulary, just clear, natural, humane, and that's enough. I closed the email, leaned back in my chair, and let myself feel proud. Not noisy, not dramatic, but quiet. Silent pride lasts longer. A small talk with a colleague enhances the natural dialogue. Late in the afternoon, Mia walked past my desk. She stopped and said softly, "Hey, thanks again for helping yesterday. I've learned a lot." I smiled. "Hello. You did a great job today." She nodded. I was very nervous, but hearing you say "calm down" also made me calmer. I chuckled. We help each other without realizing it. She smiled and walked away. I looked at my screen again, feeling the truth of it. We are all connected in small, invisible ways. Shadowing breaks strong C1 sentences. Repeat these slowly and clearly. I can handle any conversation. Pause shading. My English feels natural and grounded. Pause shading. I trust my voice. Pause shading. I belong here. Pause shading. Excellent. The sun begins to set when the working day ends. A warm yellow glow gently floods through the office window, soothing the sharp edges of desks, papers, and computer screens. Everyone began to pack up their belongings, moving slower than usual, not tired, just peaceful. I turned off my laptop, put it in my bag, and stood up. A day feels long, but full in the best way possible. As I entered the hallway, Daniel jogged lightly to catch up. "Banquet?" he asked. I shook my head gently. "Not tonight. I think I need a quiet evening." He nodded deliberately. "Fair enough. Enjoy the calm, man. You've earned it." We clashed our fists and walked in the opposite direction. The evening walk took place, listening with emotion. Outside, the air is cool and pleasant. People pass by in pairs, in groups, or alone, each carrying the story of their day the way they go. I slowly walk towards the subway station, taking my time. The city feels different tonight, lighter somehow, as if the world itself understood that I needed a lighter tempo. A street musician plays a soothing melody on the violin, the sound floating in the air like a memory. I paused for a moment to listen. It's subtle, nostalgic, almost bittersweet. He opened his eyes and smiled when he saw me listening. "It's a beautiful evening?" he said. I nodded. "Nice music." He chuckled. "I play what I feel." "Good." I replied softly. "Everyone hears that." He nodded again, grateful. I dropped a coin into his open box and he bowed humbly. As I walked, the music followed me a few steps before blending into the background of the city. Take the subway home. Quiet contemplation. On the subway, I found an empty seat near the door. The train moved smoothly, gently swaying from side to side. Outside the window, the light dimmed into streaks of yellow and white. Across from me, an elderly woman was reading a thick novel. A student next to her hears something on her headphones, the words quietly obscured. Maybe a man in a suit is reclining with his eyes closed, exhausted but peaceful. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone is learning something. Everyone was quietly carrying something. I closed my eyes for a moment and whispered, "You're doing well." Dark moments repeat, "I'm doing well." Shadowing paused again. "I'm doing well." Arriving home, a quiet night began. When I entered my apartment, the tranquility greeted me immediately. The warm light glowed softly, and the familiar scent of the room surrounded me like a gentle blanket. I put my bag down and sat on the couch for a while. My body relaxed, sinking into the cushion. It feels great to be at home. I changed into more comfortable clothes, soft pants, a warm sweater, and go into the kitchen. I cooked a simple meal, a little rice, stir-fried vegetables, a little sesame oil. The smell fills the apartment, warm and grounded. I prepared my food neatly and sat by the window with my dinner, watching the night outside deeper. The world is quiet and inside me. Something is also quiet, a rare kind of stable peace. A video call from Ava enhanced natural emotional conversation. When I finished eating, my phone rang softly. A video call from Ava. I replied with a slight smile. Her face appears smiling, warm, relaxed. "Hey, how does it work?" she asked immediately. "Everything went well," I said. "Better than expected." She clapped her hands softly. I knew it would tell me everything. I leaned back, balancing the phone on my knees. Yes, I have not forgotten my words. I'm not panicking, and I didn't try to sound smarter than I do now. Ava raised her eyebrows. "It's improvement?" I laughed. "Hey, what do I mean?" she added softly. "Is that you listen truthfully and honestly? People respect that." I nodded slowly, thinking about the client, the boardroom, the conversation in the hallway. "Yes," I said, "I feel clear." She smiled softly. "It's a sense of fluency, not perfect grammatical clarity." Her words settled in me like warm tea. I asked, "How was your day?" "She's lazy, busy, but good. I wrote for 2 o'clock this morning. Finally completed a chapter." "That's amazing." "Yes," she said, brushing her hair behind her ears. "It feels good to commit to something." We were silent for a moment, not awkward, just peaceful. Then she said, "You seem different lately." I frowned. "Different? How?" "More grounded," she replies, as if you're not trying too hard to prove anything. I smiled, almost embarrassed. "Maybe I'm learning to believe in myself?" She nodded slowly. "I'm very happy. It looks good to you." The words hit something tender in me, not romantic, just human. The feeling of being seen. We talk a little longer about planning for the weekend, about books, about the little things that make the day better. When we finally said goodnight, her voice was soft. "Sleep well. You deserve a peaceful night." And once I believed her, a night of walking on the balcony near C2 sounds better. Then I stepped onto my balcony again. The city is noisy, the traffic is quiet. Distant voices, the rhythm of life, continue beyond my little world. I looked down at the street where the streetlights shone pools of golden light. Somewhere far away, someone laughs, someone plays music, someone closes the door. I took a deep breath, letting the cool air fill my lungs. Today is a good day, not perfect, not extraordinary, only meaningful. "And the meaning is enough," I whispered softly. "You are no longer the person you used to be. You're getting stronger. Break the ball. Repeat after me. I'm getting stronger." Pause shading. I believe in my development. Pause shading. I'm confident in myself. Pause shading. Excellent. Reflective notebook at night. Back inside, I grabbed my notebook. Again, the same one that Ava encouraged me to use. I sat on the couch, pen in hand, and wrote, "One thing I learned today, confidence grows from clarity, not perfection. One thing I'm grateful for, people who remind me that I'm capable. One thing I want to improve, say without rushing to think." I gently closed the notebook. A full day. My wall clock shows 10:42 p.m. The apartment is now quiet, with only the gentle hum of the refrigerator and the faint sound of the city breathing through the windows. A quiet silence filled the room. I turned off most of the lights, leaving only a warm, glowing light in the corner. This is my favorite moment of the day. Quiet, reflective space just before sleep. I sat on the floor with a warm cup of tea. I leaned back on the couch, my legs straightened. No noise, no pressure. It's just a soft, peaceful silence. And in that silence, the thought finally began to subside. Late-night contemplation, uplifting listening with naturally authentic emotions. I think about the morning, about the bus, about the presentation, about the small victories that I didn't even realize until now. I whispered softly, "You're doing better than you think." Dark moments. Repeat slowly, "I'm doing better than I thought." Shadowing. Pause again. "I'm doing better than I thought." Good. The tea warms my hands as I take a deep breath. I remember something my father told me years ago. He says, "Confidence isn't noisy, it's stable." Back then, I didn't understand. Now I do. Confidence is not screaming. It's not pretending. It does not force itself to be someone who is not a friend. Being confident is staying calm. Confidence is speaking slowly. Confidence is trusting your voice, even if it shakes a little. I took another sip of tea and let the warmth settle in my chest. A message from my mother. Simple, warm, authentic. My phone rang softly. A message from my mother. It says, "Hope your day goes well. Remember to take a break. You're always pushing yourself too hard." I smiled to myself. She always knew. I typed again. It went well. "Thank you, Mom. Now I'm resting." She replied immediately. "Good. I'm proud of you." Simple words, but powerful. I put my phone down and closed my eyes for a moment. A call from Emily. Late-night friendship talk. A few minutes later, Emily called. "Hey," she said, her voice soft and tired. "Are you awake?" "Yes," I replied. "Just relax. How did you feel when the big presentation was over?" "I think for a moment, lighter, I admit, and more." She laughed lightly. "It's a good combination. Emily is always the one who understands everything without long explanations." "Yes," she said. "I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you." I smiled quietly. "That means a lot. You're becoming a stronger person," she added gently. "I can hear it in your voice." I looked around the quiet room, feeling the warmth rise inside me. Growth is slow, but people notice, even if you don't. "Thank you," I said softly. We talk a little more about nothing and everything. Weekend plans, work stress, dinner recipes, the usual chaos of life. Before we hung up, she said, "Sleep well." "Okay, you deserve a quiet night." "Good night," I replied. Window moments, night air, real silence, clear minds. I went to the window and pushed it open a little. Cool air drifted in, rubbing against my face. The street below is almost deserted. A cyclist passed by. One is far away. A car honked weakly somewhere far away. The world feels big but light. I put my hand on the windowsill and whispered, "You are allowed to slow down. Break the ball. Repeat." I was allowed to slow down. Shadowing paused again. I was allowed to slow down. An inner conversation. Advanced C1, C2, here. I think back to who I used to be. My version is always scared. Afraid of speaking English, afraid of making mistakes, afraid of being judged. I remember how small I felt in conversations, how I avoided speaking because I didn't want to sound imperfect. I remember the frustration, the shame, the anxiety. And now everything feels different. I still make mistakes. I still stopped. Sometimes I still search for words, but I show up anyway. Anyway, I said. I try anyway, because development is not about perfection. Growth is about courage, I whispered to myself. You're learning, you're growing, you're trying. That's enough. Shadowing repeats slowly and confidently. I'm learning. Shadowing. Pause. I'm growing. Pause shading. I'm trying. Pause shading. That's enough. Pause shading. Excellent. A stroll in my own mind. Natural, deep, authentic. I stepped out of the window, turned off the light, and sat on the edge of the bed. The room was now dark, lit only by the distant light of the city through the curtains. I leaned forward, my elbows on my knees, my hands clasped together, and for a moment I just breathed. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. I whispered, "You're exactly where you need to be." I repeated again, more gently, "You're exactly where you need to be." And for the first time in a long time, I believe it. The last shadowing session. Slowly, clearly, confidently. Let's practice together slowly, deeply, just like the thoughts inside real life. Repeat. After me. I believe in my journey. Pause shading. My English is improving every day. Pause shading. I speak with clarity and confidence. Pause shading. I don't have to be perfect. Pause shading. I just need to be present. Pause shading. I have the ability. Pause shading. I'm enough. Pause shading. Good. Closing the day, one last moment of peace. I lay down on the bed. The sheets were cool and soft underneath me. The outside world keeps moving. The cars, the footsteps, the late night conversations. But I felt calm, steady, strong. I looked up at the ceiling and smiled softly. Today is a good day. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new conversations, new learning opportunities. But right now, this moment is all I need. I let the calmness settle in my chest and whispered one last time, "Keep going." The night was getting deeper. Everything outside the window was quiet into a gentle hum, an almost invisible rhythm that only late wakers like this could hear. I lay still for a while, just breathing, feeling the silence of the room settle into my bones. But tonight, sleep didn't come immediately. My mind was alert, but not restless, just contemplative. It's like a night where the world whispers, "Slow down. Look at how far you've come." I sat back on the bed and put my feet on the floor. The wooden planks underneath me feel cool, solid. Final reflection, a truly adult moment of truth. I looked around the room, noticing the little things that I usually overlooked. Small trees on the shelf, stacks of books I'm still trying to finish, half-burning candles near the window, simple things, ordinary things. But each one represents a part of my journey. There was a time when I thought that improvement needed to be big milestones, strong progress, overnight success. But now I understand something deeper. Silent progress, gentle progress. Progress happens in small, ordinary moments, I whispered softly. You are changing in ways that you may not always be able to see. Dark moments. Repeat after me. Slowly. In. I'm changing in ways that I can't always see. Shadowing. Pause. Again. I'm changing in ways that I can't always see. Good. Walk into the kitchen late at night. Simple. Real people. I went into the kitchen, poured myself a small glass of water, and leaned against the counter. The faint hum of the refrigerator, the quiet faucet settled in the pipes. These sounds become strangely comfortable. I whispered, "It's okay to be tired. It's okay to rest." Shadowing. I was allowed to rest. Pause. I don't have to be perfect. Pause shading. I just need to keep going. Pause shading. I took a sip of water and exhaled slowly. Sit by the window. The true heart of development. I went back to the window and opened it completely. This time, cool air filled the room instantly. Far below, a taxi drove by, leaving a brief echo of tires on the wet pavement. A couple walks with slow steps on the sidewalk, immersed in quiet conversation. Someone laughed in the distance, softly, softly, like a piece of night breaking. Life goes on, and I feel like I'm becoming more and more a part of it. No evasion, no shrinking, no doubt, just living, just growing. I whispered softly, "You're not behind. You're on your way." Repeat the ball. I'm not falling behind. Pause shading. I'm on my way. Pause shading. Beautiful. Notebook. One last item for the night. I went back to my notebook and opened a new page. At the top, I wrote the 177th 1 hour of English, one adult day. Then I write a few simple lines. Today I spoke bravely. Today I showed up. Today I learned something real. I'll try again tomorrow. I paused and added one last sentence. Confidence increases when you allow yourself to grow. I gently closed the notebook and placed it on the table. The last shadowing session. Level C1, C2, naturally strong. Repeat these slowly, clearly with intent. I say it clearly. Pause shading. I believe in my progress. Pause shading. My voice is very important. Pause shading. I can express my thoughts naturally. Pause shading. I was ready for real conversations. Pause shading. I'm becoming fluent. Pause shading. Again. Slow. Powerful. I'm becoming fluent. A message from your future version. I lay on my back on the bed again, feeling comfortable wrapped around me like a soft blanket. I closed my eyes and whispered something that I wish someone had told me years ago. One day, you'll look back and realize this is the moment it all started. Not the moment you become fluent, but the moment you believe you can do it. Because fluency doesn't start with perfect grammar. Fluency begins with faith, with courage, with appearing every day. Even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when you doubt yourself, especially when you doubt yourself, I whisper, it's amazing to complete this 1 hour C1, C2 challenge. If you stay until the end, you've trained your brain to understand English quickly, naturally, and speak more confidently with the real ball. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for a more advanced English boost every week. This is Emily from Emily US English, and I'll see you in the next Fluency Challenge. Keep talking, keep improving. You're closer to mastery than you think.